guys, and welcome back to the channel where I like to moan more than a control freak in their very first porno. Anyway, this is me, I'm Jack from Phantasma Paranormal. Hello. And anybody who is a returning subscriber or viewer, whatever you want to call yourselves, welcome back. You already know the gist of me, you know how I talk and everything that just goes on here. So I talk a lot about the paranormal subjects, the culture of the paranormal, sort of what's happening in the ITC community, instrumental trans communication, and I just talk about a whole manner of subjects, you know, where I feel there's problems, where I feel like there's advantages, disadvantages, and so on, and just talk about, you know, critical thinking, and so it's going to be another one of those. So without further ado, let's just get on with this video. But I wanted to talk about bias, specifically the paranormal bias or supernatural bias, whatever you want to call it. And what I mean by that, I'll just give you a good example. You know, when I first started this, which I believe was around 2019, you know, when I started this, I was very excited about this, and I watched a lot of people such as Half Paranormal and a few others, and I got really excited about this. I wanted to do this for myself and became so interested and so hooked on it, which nothing's changed. You know, I'm still hooked on this and I love it. I love talking about this stuff and doing spirit box sessions and investigations. And, you know, I would be so excited, Miss. I was sort of tunnel visioned on the paranormal, whereas, you know, anything that would really happen, I would sort of chalk up to it being paranormal. And I suppose when anything kind of happens in the paranormal, with, you know, maybe there may be some kind of activity with something moving, or maybe there may be a sound that comes out of your EVP recorder, which I spoke about this kind of subject in yesterday's video, which was on about my reply to Paranormal Tedium, which go check out Paranormal Tedium, by the way. I think you'll get something out of it. You know, very good, you know, informational videos. Rich does a very good job on there. Both of the lads, you know, do a really good job just explaining things about the paranormal from a skeptical point of view, but with an open-minded point of view, which is really good. I encourage you to check it out. So when it comes to that bias, you know, I just feel that sometimes there is not many people who want to when Rich brought up something at the end of that video, which was people want to chalk up everything that happens which is unexplainable to the paranormal. Why? Because maybe that gets them the views and that gets them the subscribers or what have you. And sometimes I believe because people are so invested in the paranormal, they want it to be paranormal so bad that they can't accept any other rational explanation for that thing happening. You know, I have to be very much aware of the fact that when I'm using a spirit box radio, for example, that it could be the possibility that there is radio bleeds coming through. Radio bleeds, they happen all the time. It's just nature of the beast, you know, sometimes. But I'm looking for my direct spirit communication, so I'm asking direct questions such as, what is my name? How many of there are you? You know, what is your age, and so on. If they have an age, you know, we don't know what spirits are. We don't know if they're dead people, if they're aliens, if they're alternate reality beings, you know, like the multiple earth theory and so on. We don't know what they are. They could be anything, could be fairies, who knows. But I just feel that, you know, even when I started, I struggled to wrap my head around, you know, it being something else, because I believed in this so wholeheartedly that I struggled to really see it as anything else. Such as if you're using something like a spirit box recorder, if you're using an EVP recorder, which if you don't know what EVP means, it's an electronic voice phenomenon. So it's using something like a recording device or maybe your phone to ask you questions. You know, you may hear silence and then you may get a spirit reply, you know, on playback. But the thing is, sometimes, you know, there may be random noise, maybe background noise or whatever, and you may hear like a come out of a recorder. And because there's the whole pareidolia side of things, your brain will want to chalk that out, because our brain's so intelligent. It's kind of, what's pareidolia? It's kind of a little bit like hearing things which aren't really there, and it's also, you know, seeing things that aren't there. You know, when you stare at a pattern in a carpet, and if you stare at it for long enough, you can pick out shapes, you can pick out faces, maybe numbers, things like that. Same thing with auditory, with the auditory side of pareidolia. And there may be something which you may not be taking into account. You think, oh my god, I've just captured a spirit voice. Where are you taking into consideration that your mic sensitivity may be up really high, that you may have picked up possible traffic, you know, out on the road? Could you have picked up maybe next door, you know, a bang or something like that? These are possibilities. But then I suppose there is people out there like I'll give you the example. Huff Paranormal pretty much deems everything as bloody paranormal. You know, every noise, creak, groan that comes out of a recorder or a spirit box, whatever, even though he doesn't actually use spirit boxes really anymore, he sticks to apps. And I've spoken about apps, so I'm not going into that again. But when people want to deem everything as paranormal and don't try to look for the rational explanation or the mundane explanation, because they don't, I believe some of them don't want to look for the mundane explanation because, first of all, it's not as fun. And it's a bit disappointing for some, but you know what? If you want to take it seriously, nature of the beast. And you have to, you know, cross-reference yourself as well if you capture any evidence such as, oh, look at orbs. So you may have seen the YouTube short, which I did, which I put up, which is an older one. And it's an older one, I think from 2019, I believe, when we went to the West Ogwell Church. Which was a really creepy location, and it was a set for a film, which I can't remember the film's name, it will be here somewhere, but it was a really cool sort of like independent film, and it's only just up the road from me. So when I was going through, you know, the videos and everything, I was checking out some older clips, you know, posting the YouTube shorts because you guys seem to like them, sometimes watching them more than these videos, which is fine, you know, whatever you like, I don't care. And I saw like a possible orb, and, you know, Deanna, my partner, was asking questions saying, you know, could you come past Jack, could you come towards me, and this orb comes like immediately towards camera. Now, you know, you may be really excited and think, but, you know, she asked directly for a spirit to materialize, and it did, you know, it came towards camera. But there is other things which you have to take into consideration when it comes to stuff like orbs. You know, the mundane explanations, you know, not having that spiritual or paranormal bias when you want to deem everything as paranormal when it might not be. You're not eliminating the, you know, mundane possible explanations. So this orb flies towards camera. And when the orb flies towards camera, it does look very intelligent, looks solid and so on. But you know, you have to take into consideration, could it be a bug? Is it a dusty environment? Could it be defocus? Which Paranormal Tedium messaged me about that, which was something I never knew about, which I'm so glad that Rich turned me on to that. And that's something that came my way with filthier than I've intended, so I'm sorry about that, Rich. He informed me, let me know about this, and I did not know. And I was like, okay, this is something for me to consider in future if I ever capture anything like that. You know, such as you may be filming in a room and you'll be holding your camera up in front of you saying like, can you show yourself, you know, as an orb, and you may see an orb. But then think of things which were happening in that time. Is there a draft in the room? Is it possible that, you know, dirt or dust could have been kicked up, or airborne debris? Is it possible that maybe if you were filming on a bed, for example, that there could be fluff coming up of the bed? These are all things which you have to consider. But I suppose even when things such as, and I'm going to tread carefully here, but when things like faith come into it, and, you know, I suppose that people, I mean, there's nothing wrong with faith, you know, as long as it keeps you happy, keeps you sane, you know, and puts you on a good path in life, there's nothing wrong with that. As long as you don't try and force it down my throat, that's cool. No worries there. But then I feel that sometimes the bias, when it's a little bit, well, it can be like anything. If you believe in something wholeheartedly, you know, there's never been any true evidence for Bigfoot. I believe if Bigfoot is real, we would have caught it by now, or we would have got solid proof that Bigfoot exists. But the fact that we haven't, and there's been sightings over however many years or whatever, or decades, that I just believe it's quite unlikely. But then again, stranger things have happened with animals being discovered, undiscovered creatures, you know, even in most recent times, when I think it was 1902 when the mountain gorilla was finally discovered as a real animal, you know, a nice little fact for you. But when it's anything, if you believe in something so much and there's something out there which challenges that, you know, people don't like it. They don't like their beliefs being challenged because it forces them to think from a different point of view. It forces that. And it's the same in the paranormal. Whereas I used to, you know, go, oh no, don't tell me about that. You know, this definitely is paranormal. But then when I started to think more critically, and I got to learn so much more from like channels like Order of Magnitude, our paranormal investigator who has been helping me, you know, we talk back and forth about theories and such, and there's Paranormal Tedium, and I go, okay, I can look at these points of view and go, okay, they could be right, I could be wrong, or I could be right, they could be wrong. And it's nice that because there's such little proof in the paranormal, nobody's truly right, nobody's really wrong. However, there is a lot of lies, false information which just gets spread so much, such as the audio manipulation theory. It's believed that spirits manipulate audio to speak to us. However, we do not know that for sure. Is it a very good theory? Yes, it's a brilliant theory, and it's a theory I probably subscribe to quite a lot. It seems very likely, but it's not scientifically proven. It's not proven by anybody yet. Whether it will be proven like that, I don't know, because we don't know how they communicate. And so it's fun to just speculate, just put out theories. I put out theories all the time. I even put that theory out there of, I'm not even sure if I was the first one who came up with it. Maybe, I thought I did, but maybe somebody else said it in the past or whatever. But, that theory that possibly, everybody wants to believe that ghosts or spirits, whatever you want to call them, are dead people. But I also have that theory that they might not be. What I mean is, what about the possibility that the reason why we see ghosts or spirits, phantoms, whatever you want to call them, entities, that when we swear we see a ghost with our own eyes, when we swear we see a ghost, what if it's the possibility that there is other realities that are running in the same time as ours? There's other realities, there's people that live in another reality just like I do. And when I see a ghost, I'm actually looking at a living person, but in a different reality. Now, I know I'm going into the whole kind of multiversal sort of thing, which hints at Spider-Man No Way Home. Cannot bloody wait! I'm so excited. I'm a massive Spider-Man fan, but I just think that could be a possibility, because we don't know if they truly are dead people. I mean, they say they're dead, they call themselves spirits. I call them spirits because that's what they want to call themselves, and I just feel like I'm being respectful there to them, and I want to treat them as respectfully as I can, regardless what they are. I don't care if they're demons, I don't care if they're dead, I don't care if they're alternate reality beings. I want to talk to them if I can. I don't know if I am talking specifically to dead people, demons, or what have you, but that's just my thoughts on that. So when it comes to the bias, don't label everything as paranormal. Always try and rule out the mundane, explainable things, such as when you swear you hear footsteps, on your landing, which I've had in this house before. There are some things which I spoke about, the footsteps running up my stairs about 2-3 years ago. I explained about that experience. But then I had to consider other things, such as, okay, I hear noises on my landing which sound an awful lot like walking around about the same time every night. And I could go, okay, that may seem like a spirit. It's happening every night around that time. But what if there's a possibility that around that same time, the temperature could be dropping or the temperature could be increasing, stuff like that. So the temperature could be getting lower. Has it been very humid on that day? Has it been raining that day? Has it been dry? And sometimes, depending on building materials, such as in wooden structures, when it goes from hot to cold, things can contract and expand. These things can happen. Environmental factors can cause things in a house like creaks, groans, stuff like that. So it just shows, that's just an example. Don't deem everything as paranormal. It may not be. Or every little scratchy or every hiss or sparrow's fart that comes out of an EVP recorder may not be spirit. It could just be maybe a fault with the machine. It could just be background noise that you just didn't notice. These are all things that you have to think about and have to rule out if you can. And if you've ruled out every explanation, you cannot find a reasonable explanation for it, and it's unexplained, then fine, it's unexplained. But it's all part about, doing things properly, being a researcher, and just doing things in the right way. Whereas I believe paranormal TV shows, I believe they have to label everything as paranormal or unexplained because, TV shows, they've got a lot of influence from their TV companies, such as Ghost Adventures. Their whole shtick, their gimmick is being scary, and if it's not scary, people aren't going to want to watch it. Same with horror films. Horror films are horror films for a reason, and if they're not truly scary, no one's going to watch a non-scary horror film. It's like the paranormal. Some people come here maybe and say, okay, this actually is nothing like it is in the films, nothing like it is on TV. Why is that? And I've explained that as well. It's just looking for the most mundane explanations. Yes, it's boring. Yes, it's not as interesting, but you have to really validate everything that you're doing, and you have to think critically, and you have to think like that, because otherwise you're going to label everything as paranormal, and then when somebody proves you wrong, which can happen, it's not really the same. Which, you know, is that orb which I captured a while back, you know, is that spirit? I don't know. Is it a bug? I don't know. Is it dust? I don't know. Is it a defocus anomaly? I don't know. But I just put it out there as unexplained, because I will put like question marks on certain things, which, you know, in titles, which just say, is this such and such? Because I truly don't know. Like spirit box sessions, so every spirit box sessions, when people claim to contact specific people, they can't prove it's a specific person. You know, when some people go, it must be paranormal because it said it's Martin Luther King, because he said his name, Martin Luther King. How do you know that it's not Martin Luther King and it could be a spirit impersonating Martin Luther King? These are things you got to think about. But anyway, these are just a load of examples. I'm sorry if I rattle on a little bit, I apologize, but these are just examples of that spiritual bias or that paranormal bias, which sometimes there is an explanation for everything. I don't believe there's anything wrong with that. You should always try and look for a rational explanation for everything. That's why I enjoy interacting with skeptics, such as like guys who are open to it, like Paranormal Tedium, like Rich. We talk quite often in comments and everything. I believe, you know, they've got a very sensible mind and are able to talk about things in a very open yet scientific but also rational kind of way, which is not hard to understand, because yes, you've got to challenge your own beliefs and try and find another explanation. If you can't, it's unexplained. But this is just my talk on just paranormal bias. Hope you got something out of this, and I'll see you guys in the very next video, and I want you to take care and stay well, live a good life, peace and love. Anyway, I'll see you guys very soon in the next video. Take care, everyone.